Thanks for joining us for this week's Spotlight on Southern Indiana Now. We are featuring Darby Boofer, and he is an amazing mandolin, a luthier, makes mandolins for a living, and we sat down with him for quite a wonderful interview talking about his past, how he got involved, how he makes them, and some of the people that play his mandolins. So check it out. This week's episode is brought to you by Prosser Career Education Center, and we're excited to share that Prosser is a wonderful place to go to continue your education, to build upon skills, and to find maybe a new career. So check out Prosser Career Education Center and this week's episode of Southern Indiana Now. Here we go.
And we're back on Southern Indiana Now. I'm Kelly Trask, and we're hanging out today with one of the area's well-known mandolin makers. We have Darby Boofer with us this morning talking about Rose Mandolins. So you've been doing this for how long now?
About 25 years.
25 years. Okay, so how does one just wake up one day and go, I'm going to start making mandolins, and then get to be well-known and famous for it?
Well, I was married at one time, and I have two children, older now, but at the time, my wife and I were living at her parents' house while we were having a house built. And her dad was a big bluegrass, guy, and he played music for a living for a little while. And when he was younger, he didn't have money to buy an expensive mandolin, so him and his friend that was in the Air Force together decided to try and build one, together. So they built one, and he kind of went from there. People saw the mandolin and was like, hey, can you build one for me? Anyways, he was building mandolins, maybe one or two a year for people. And he had some really nice, I played guitar, and he had some really old vintage Martin guitars, And so I would go in the basement and play the guitars, and he would be down there working, and I just one day was like, hey, can I try and build one of those? So he gave me all the blocks of wood and the Bible book of building mandolins, which is the Simonoff book. And I just started from there, I made trillions of mistakes, finally finished the first one. And I was like, oh, this thing is horrible. So I was like, I can do better, and still to this day, I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, I can do better. You know? So not really about money,
Right.
For me, it's something inside, where I'm just like,
strive for perfection.
I got to get better. I got to get better.
Okay.
So if I ever build a perfect one, I'll probably quit,
Okay.
But it's almost like this impossible.
Right. So let's talk about, you had an interest, you started building, and then you've made some mandolins for some pretty famous people.
Yeah, the first 20 years ago, the first professional touring guy to get one of my mandolins, his name was Mike Andes, and he still plays for a band. They're called Nothing Fancy, and they've won numerous, bluegrass awards and stuff like that. My second one I built was for a guy named Jeff Parker, and he plays with Daly and Vincent, and he's got his own band and stuff like that. So after I got divorced, though, I basically lost everything, sold my shop, and everything, and I quit building for about 13 years.
Wow.
And I was a software consultant, out in the DC area. I lived out in the DC area for probably the past 30 some years. I moved away from here after I graduated. And right before I moved back here, my mother was getting older, so I came back. My kids are grown, so obviously I came back here, and I'm going to build mandolins again. I just started out from scratch again.
Mm-hmm.
And I built my first few with just hand tools,
Mm-hmm.
Little carving tools and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And they were all right, It was just to get me back into the flow,
Yeah.
Because it's a mental, for me, it's a mental
Mm-hmm.
state of mind, when have to be
Yeah.
completely focused in. So that kind of got me the juices, going again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this is what I've been missing,
Yeah.
This is what I've been missing because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of puts me in where I don't think about anything else,
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a spa day,
Mm-hmm.
for a girl,
For an instrument maker. Yeah, I like it.
So it's like I would build mandolins rather than go on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
or something like
Okay,
that.
I love
that's
it.
my like peace of mind
Yeah.
kind of thing. But anyways, I made one for Jeff Parker, and then I made one for a guy named Doug Bartlett who plays for Dave Parmalee, but he's been playing professionally for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he played with Doyle Lawson, the Who's Who,
Mm-hmm.
And he plays fiddle, guitar,
Yeah.
everything. So he got one of my mandolins and was like, man, your workmanship is like, it's some of the best I've ever seen,
Wow.
And, but my sound wasn't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he put me in touch with a guy down in Kentucky named Johnny Gray,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like an old time builder, and he builds awesome mandolins and guitars. So I don't know if you know Dan Tominski.
Mm-mm.
Have you ever seen the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Like Clooney,
Yeah.
and they're singing,
Right.
"I am a man." That's Dan Tominski.
Okay.
That's actually
Gotcha.
singing that.
Okay.
So Dan Tominski was the guitar player for Alison Krauss.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you've heard
Yeah.
of her. She's,
Absolutely.
but Dan plays one of Johnny's guitars, and he's got famous people that play his stuff. So I got with him, and we went back and forth a couple times, and he actually had me change some stuff on my arching and,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, let's look at it. It's beautiful.
like
Rose
this is
Mandolin.
the arch,
Mm-hmm.
So if this arch is too high or too low, it
Right. Affects the sound.
Yeah,
Makes
so
sense.
he gave me some.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
He gave me like some arching to try.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been kind of fiddling around with all that
Yeah.
stuff till I'm getting
Yeah.
the sound that I'm getting now. So I made the mandolin for that guy Doug, and he's a touring professional. So he took it around at all the bluegrass festivals
Mm-hmm.
and showed it to the top players in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a few of those guys were like, "Yeah, build me a mandolin if I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll endorse his
Yeah.
mandolins." That's what I did. And Jesse Brock, he plays for a band called Authentic Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably top 5 bluegrass
Mm-hmm.
Bands in the country. I made one for him. It wasn't quite for him.
Mm-hmm.
I made 2 more for him,
Mm-hmm.
better, but not quite up to what he wanted. And I made another one for him, and he was like, "This is it.
This is it.
the
Okay.
one." So
Yeah.
I made one for him. I made one for Wayne Benson,
Mm-hmm.
who's probably top 2 or 3 in the country.
Yep.
Mandolin players. Jesse's top 2 or 3. I mean, these guys win
Yeah.
Mandolin Player of the Year award every single year. So
That's pretty, it must feel pretty good to have your workmanship in their hands producing music.
It does. I remember like 20 some years ago, when I was just starting, I was like, man, if one day I could have Wayne Benson,
Wow. And then you
play-
checked it off your list.
and 20,
Yeah.
25 years later, he says, it's the best mandolin he's ever had.
That's awesome. So what advice would you give to somebody starting out, regardless of the age, if they think that this is something that they want to do? What's some of the biggest takeaways or must-have pieces of equipment?
Oh gosh. I mean, you can start off on a small budget, with just hand tools and stuff. But my advice that I always tell everybody is if you won't get up every single day and do it for free,
Oh, that's good advice. Then you're not doing it.
Then you're not going to last.
That's probably true on anything. That's some really good just life advice.
So
if you wouldn't do it for free, you probably don't need to be doing it.
If nobody bought a mandolin, I would just have them hanging up, on the walls. It's like, I never understood when I was a kid, we have a farm and stuff, and my dad farmed.
Okay.
And I worked on the farm. I was like, sucks, like I was like,
but not for me.
and I'm like, Mom, how do people,
Yeah.
And she was like, it's just in his blood.
Yeah.
It's just
what he's supposed to do.
That's what he's supposed to do. It's his purpose. So,
and this is yours.
And this is my purpose.
So if someone wants to budget for a Rose Mandolin, can we get one done, or how does that work? Where do they find it? Can they order one online? How do they get with you?
I have rosemandolins.com.
Okay.
And it shows the pricing.
Something in different price points. Okay.
Yeah, I have different price points. So like if the appointments, like for instance, like these are $800, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's $200 ones. So
okay.
The appointments.
Make the difference. Okay.
You don't have to get binding on the back and all that. So they range from about 6,000 to 10,500.
Yeah.
10,500.
But the sound is probably amazing. I think you should play us a song if you.
I don't know.
You never play mandolin.
Not know
okay.
Any songs. I'm sorry.
You just make sure it sounds good. Okay.
I know what the sound is supposed to sound
be.
like.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I can play it enough to be like.
Well, now we just need to get Wayne here to play it.
Oh.
There you go.
I could probably get Jesse here someday.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
He's always
We're holding you to it.
His parents live in Bowling Green.
Okay.
So
that's
I'm
close enough.
Yeah,
that's on the way from somewhere north.
But I was in Nashville yesterday.
Okay.
So I was showing some stuff to some players in Nashville.
Well, good for you. That's exciting. Well, thanks for spending some of your time today and sharing us about your journey with making mandolins. And
my pleasure.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And I know there's, other than the sound, which is definitely going to be a signature sound to your brand, is there something else that you have within the workmanship that's unique to Rose Mandolins?
Not really. The design of this mandolin.
Like, I love the scroll at the top.
Yeah, so this was designed by Gibson, like in the late early 1900s, the scroll. But all mandolins used to just have an oval, like a guitar hole.
Yeah, can I hold it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll hold it for the camera too, so that way you can explain it.
Yeah, so before 1921, all mandolins had like a guitar hole, like an oval round hole.
Yeah.
And then a acoustic engineer went to work for Gibson. Everybody knows Gibson. And he designed this F5 style. So this is like a scale length. The length of this neck is a scale length. And the scale length was much shorter and it had an oval hole. He made the scale length longer and designed it with the F holes like a violin.
Yeah.
And he designed the bracing inside.
Wow.
And pretty much every mandolin since then has been based off his design.
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous.
So if you own one of his mandolins from 1921 to 23, they're anywhere from, depending on condition, 125,000 to 180,000.
Okay, now I know what I'm looking for in the Antique Roadshow.
So it's almost like the Stradivarius people know that
People
name,
know the name.
you know,
Yeah.
of mandolin.
I love it. Well, thank you so much and appreciate you being here. And if someone wants to check it out, you can go online, rosemandolins.com, and place your order. How long does it take to make one if someone does a custom order or wants a certain color or something like that?
Yeah, it's about a year.
About a year. All right. There you go. Yeah. Get Christmas for 2026. You can get it done. All right. We'll be back right here on Southern Indiana Now. I'm Kelly Trask.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode featuring Darby Boofer and Rose Mandolins. Check it out. If you want to order a mandolin, you can't get a better one. So thank you again to Prosser Career Education Center for sponsoring this episode. And if you have any ideas for future shows, please send us an email at southernindiananow@gmail.com. So thanks for joining us. I'm Sean Hildreth, your producer, and we'll see you again next week.